Hey everybody, welcome to Being Trans. I'm Lilith and Amanda, that's Amanda Bonanza, and we are here to talk about being trans, answer your questions about, being trans, give advice, are you doing something right or wrong? You're not doing it wrong, and just kind of go over, what trans people are thinking about, what they're worried about, and offer some support along the way. Amanda, I've talked for quite a while. How are you doing today?
I am doing quite well.
Yeah.
It's nice out in Southern California. Let me tell you, the sun is shining. We had a rough spell. It was so cold. It rained for like 2 days, and then it got down to 62 degrees.
62 degrees. However, did you survive?
Everyone was wearing their winter coats, and everyone was so sad. But now the sun's back out, and it's 72 and sunny again, and I'm very happy about that.
It was 50 today, and I was like, "Oh, it's so warm out." It also rained all day the last 2 days here in Virginia. It sucks, but whatever. It's what I get for living in a swamp, I guess. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I said, are you ready?
Did I not say it loud enough? Did we do it?
I can't hear you. Are you ready?
Do I need to scream it? I don't want to scream.
Hashtag being trans.
I'm ready.
All right, you ready? Okay, we're ready. Yeah, I believe you. So I got a question. So let's go. Okay. It ends in a question mark, but I don't think it's a question. But I'm not here to I'm not here to
standard. That's par for the course for questions.
It has a question at the end, but I don't think it's a question.
You don't think it's a question, but it ends in a question mark.
But it ends in a question mark. Yeah,
I love this already. It's internet grammar. I love internet grammar. It's a big fun world.
It's just do what you want.
The evolution of language or the devolution of language, whatever you want to call it.
I got in this argument
We're
today.
all devo.
Because I used the wrong word when communicating with someone. They tried to point it out, and I said, "You knew what I meant, though, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, I knew exactly what you meant." It's like, well, then it doesn't really matter. Because language is just a way to communicate. And as long as you're communicating what you want to communicate, then it's correct. Yeah. All right. Share the common sense tips you had to learn before transitioning. See, it's not a question. It's just share some tips.
I think it could be a question because I think they're asking. So it's like, would you please share? Please share your tips. Could you say that again? Because I was thinking about the question mark so much that I didn't absorb the information.
Sure. Share the common sense tips you had to learn after transitioning. Many of us didn't have the luxury of growing up presenting as our actual gender, so I find myself very quickly realizing that there are fair few things that I should have learned much sooner. For basic examples, it's not safe for femme-presenting people to walk around alone as it gets darker, and sitting in a skirt is a more thoughtful process than I had previously believed. What common sense did you pick up after the fact, which could be helpful to others? This is less about skills and more about helpful knowledge we might not be aware of.
That's a tough one.
That's a good one.
But
that's a good one.
The walking around at night thing is a huge one.
Really? That's so weird.
Yeah, because I used to walk around at night. Pre-transition, I did a thing called wine walks. And what I would do is I had a big Baja Fresh to-go cup, a big 20-ounce to-go cup. I would fill it with wine, and I would walk around listening to my headphones and smoke cigarettes. And I would I would do this this is back in my days when I was up late at night and and I would do this at 1 in the morning, and I would walk around, and I had a whole route, big thing, and I did this for 20 years, where I would walk around and do this on a regular basis and just walk around and smoke cigarettes and sing along with my music at full blast, in the middle of the night, walking around, just not even trying not to draw attention to myself, not even trying to be subtle in any way. And I didn't think twice about it. It was never a thing for me. And then I came out and I started HRT, and I remember I was walking to a support group meeting, and it was pretty early on. It was first couple months, maybe even the first month. And but it was one of the first times that I kind of dressed femme, but I still didn't pass. And I was walking in Seattle, is when I lived in Seattle, and I was walking down a brightly lit street like it was dark, but it was a reasonable hour. I think I was walking home from the meeting, so it was like 9:15 on like a Wednesday, and I felt this like tinge of like panic and fear that like I've never felt before. And it was just like a spider sense. Like, and it was this thing. It was just like going off in the back of my head telling me like, you shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. This is not okay.
That's weird because I used to house manage at the theater, and I'd get out Friday, Saturdays like 11:30, and I'd do like the 30-minute walk home and didn't even think twice about it, and still wouldn't. But that's, you know, each person's
transition. Yeah,
that's this person pointed that out. Says what we want to provide them with is some.
But I have one more thing on that.
Oh yeah, you have one more thing on this. Oh
yeah, okay. Because that later got reinforced, like about a couple years later when like I was living in Olympia and my parents came to visit. I was like, I was thinking this was like 2020, so it was like COVID time, and like my parents came to visit. And they were staying at a hotel that was probably about a mile and a half from where I lived, because Olympia is not very big, but like it was and we were all like staying there in their hotel room, but it was just time to go. And like, they were all like, can I give you a ride? And I was like, no, I want to walk. It's fine. I'm just going to walk. And they're like, are you sure it's late? It's dark. Are you sure you probably shouldn't walk? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I walk all the time. It's no big deal. And like, I did. And I walked, and like, same thing. I immediately regretted it. I got about you know, like a third of the way there, and it was dark, and I'm like, I really shouldn't be doing this. And I saw someone like coming at me in the other direction, and I was like, okay, I have to be ready with like my fucking mace and like be ready for this. It's probably not going to be a confrontation, but like I'm nervous. I shouldn't be doing this. And that was the last time I did that. Like, I haven't done that since. I've been like a lot more cautious about it and careful. That's it.
I kept waiting for something to happen.
Well, what happened is I came to the realization that just like the question asker asked, it's like the same thing. I just completely relate to it as all.
Yeah,
I guess we can cut all that out. I was just.
I mean, yeah, I was like, oh, you learned a lesson. It was just like, nah, I just felt uneasy, and I stopped doing it.
Well, that's learning a lesson.
But no, what the lesson was been nothing happened to me. I'm completely safe.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
No, but that's not what I took from it.
Here, I got something that you don't think about.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's listen.
I got something you don't think about. Yeah, is like. We've talked a lot about clothes before, and how like clothes sizes are different. It's just like weird. One thing always got me is shoes, because you know it's hard to find shoes my size in person, so I do a lot online. You have to pay attention to if the shoes are rounded at the top or if they come to a point at the top, because if you have a little wider foot, you are not going to be able to wear those ones that come to a point, because all your toes, you know, they're going to get crammed in there. I've made that mistake where the shoes come and they have the point, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to wear these at all unless I cut off my baby toe. I have not cut off my baby toe. I've just.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing.
Men's shoes don't come to a point.
No. Well, some do. Some dress shoes. Some boots.
Not as harsh as some women's.
Well, no, like the super pointy ones. Like, I honestly, I don't think anyone should wear those anyway. I don't think they really look good. There's another hot tip, fashion tip. Yeah. This is something that I learned. I knew beforehand. But like, you really only want to wear pointy-toed shoes if you're slim. If you're slim and slender. If you're not, if you're a
wish someone would have told me that.
I'm just saying, this is the thing. It's if you have a more full figure, you want to wear rounded shoes. That's just the thing. It's just it's an age old fashioned go by stand to
A go by stand to. You know, it's a go by stand to.
Wear some rounded toes if you're on the curvier side, and if you're a slender person, you want pointy toes.
Yeah. Sitting down.
That's for men too. That's men and women alike. It's just
how you sit, even if you're not wearing a skirt, you know, is a thing. Like,
Yeah. Well, that goes
for
back
me
to
though. I don't
deportment.
change how I sit. I don't change how I do anything because I'm that. But if you're looking for like little things that kind of like help you pass, like how you sit, how you walk, But I also think like a lot of that.
And out of a car.
Getting in a car. Oh man, how many times like you're wearing a dress, you step out of a car, and you just realize you're just like, whoa. Britney Spears in it.
Or you slam the door on your dress.
But I would also say that sometimes that behavior is like, I think as trans people, one thing I think is just like changing the way how women are perceived when it comes to like, if you're in a room full of dudes, you should take a back seat, be quiet, listen to them, and just be like, no, you should be fucking obnoxious. You should be in their face. You should tell them to shut up when they need to shut up.
I still get into a car one leg at a time. Like I don't do the whole sit down and swivel thing. Like I still do.
I thought you were going to say you get into 2 legs at a time, like Dukes of Hazzard style.
No, like so, like that, like if like the traditional like cis male way to get into a car is you just step into the car with your right. If you're getting in the driver's seat, step into the car with your right leg, and then you just jump in and you put your second leg in, and you just sit down.
Yeah.
But if you've ever watched like cis women do this, almost no cis women ever do that. What they do is they sit down first, and then they slide their legs over. Yeah.
What? How have I never noticed this? That seems like a huge pain in the ass.
It's not comfortable. It's awkward feeling.
No, it's stupid.
But anyway, that is traditionally how it's done, and that's a thing that it's one of those. I don't do it either. Like I just get into cars. I think about it, and I've tried to do it that way, and it's like, well, even with a dress, it's like I don't care. I'm just climbing in the car.
It's not like there's a small person under the steering wheels and be looking up your dress.
I don't know if that's like it's just a thing. I think it's a thing like that was like that like. Cis women growing up, like back in the day, when their parents told them, like it's one of those.
Your knees should never be separated.
Never separate your knees. Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. Is like, it's like, and that thing, that's not a thing anymore, really, as much. No. Like, but the question asked your thing about like wearing skirts, it is a thing then. Like, if you're wearing a shorter skirt, you can't just Al Bundy it on the couch.
That's a funny thing too, because a lot of trans women are taller. Noticing when you're buying skirts, like where they're falling on the model in like the photos, like if you're shopping online, and realizing that that's not going to be like. I have so many dresses now that I have to wear as like summer tops with shorts, because if I wore them out, like my ass would be hanging out. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm sure people love my ass, but it shouldn't be going out in public like that.
But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of little things like that. The other thing I would say is, in my experience, a lot of the deportment stuff and the kind of mannerisms and things, at least in my case anyway, was very much influenced by the estrogen. Like I kind of always moved in a somewhat feminine manner anyway, and I was always like, my whole life I was very conscious of my movements, and I tried to always be graceful, and I still do, and like that carried over. So it wasn't like a big step for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like I noticed that like it just being on hormones does all those things that brings that forward anyway, and letting go because it was my instinct to do it anyway. Yeah. And so like when I was pre-transition, that was all suppressed behavior anyway. And so I had to like unlearn the suppressing of it, and then I just let yourself be free, and then it's like, oh yeah, and then you wave your hands around more when you talk, you look more like, it's all stuff that like you probably wanted to do anyway, and you consciously stopped yourself from doing to fit in. At least in my case.
Yeah, I was going to say I was the exact opposite. I was not conscious of who I was or what I was doing. I just kind of like was bouncing around everywhere. But one thing I would say is, most people, I did have the thing with you where, because I'm not paying attention, after I started estrogen, I just realized changes in my mannerisms that were those things being lifted off. Like that idea that like maybe I wasn't consciously thinking about that, but I was subconsciously suppressing all this stuff. And so pay attention to like, I noticed that I talked more with my hands afterwards. I was more demonstrative and things like that. But yeah, I would say
your voice fluctuates more, like the pitch fluctuates more as you speak. It's more sing-songy.
Yeah.
that's stuff that like you can work on consciously if you want, but that's also, to me, it just kind of came with the estrogen.
Yeah. All right. I hope we, I really think like that walking at night thing for a lot of people is a big thing that they don't think about. But I would say
just at first they don't think about it. I think a lot of people think about it real quickly. Like I think that comes up pretty quick. I'm trying to think of other things that like came up, and there's nothing really jumping to mind about like stuff you had to figure out. Like, I mean, to me, it's like the obvious stuff, like learning how to size clothes, learning how to take your measurements. I mean, I think we've talked about that before, but that's a good one too, is you should have a tape measure, and you should at least once a month, you should take your measurements and know where to measure and know how to do it, so that when you do buy clothes, you're buying the right size, because women's clothes fluctuate. Like
women's clothes is all about sizing. It like knowing your measurements. It's not
knowing
about
your
like,
measurements,
because it's not like men's clothes where they just put the measurements on the pants for you.
Yeah. So you have to, it's like, oh, I'm a 16. Well, not today.
You got to hit size chart. Like, you got to hit size chart on that and see what they mean by 16.
Online have size charts that do that. So
most of them do.
Most of them. And yeah. Anyway, in any case, that's another one.
And Amazon is famous for having the size chart, and you click it, and the sizes in the size chart don't match the sizes that the company uses.
Did you start eating more salads?
No. There's a place by us. It's about a 40-minute drive, but it's like a nice out in the country. So we'll go out there maybe once a month just to go for a drive and like get some fresh, like bacon or ground beef. But they also do sandwiches, and they have this Italian sub that is like the whole thing is like yay long, and it must weigh like 7 pounds. And you open it up, and it's got like the pepperoncinis, and the onions are like, they're not even in the bread because it's so packed. And I won't eat the whole thing. Like, I can't eat the whole thing, but I'll eat half of those in like 3 minutes and just be like, rah, 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 rah. That's one thing I worry about. Like, I like sit here and totally pass, and someone sees me eating at dinner, and it's like the Tasmanian devil going through a forest, and it's like, oh, okay, someone didn't learn their manners.
So this is the thing. It is way harder to get a good solid hoagie on the West Coast than it is east of the Rockies.
Oh, I bet.
It's like, for some reason, people just don't really get it out here. Seattle was terrible for that. Like, I could not for the life of me find a good sandwich in Seattle. Like, and Seattle has exquisite food. Like, the food in Seattle in general is like top tier. But the thing that Seattle did that made it both good but fucked up the sandwich aspect of it is everything was like super top end gourmetish. So it's like you're getting the best cut of meat, the freshest produce, like farm to table stuff. Like every restaurant does this. And and so you're always getting like super organic, biodynamic, like, best cuts, all this stuff. But the problem is you go to buy a sandwich, and it's like you can't get just like a cold cut grinder. Like, you get like portobello mushrooms and like prosciutto and like assaggio and it's like, I don't want a portobello prosciutto assaggio sandwich. I want a roast beef. I want a corned beef on rye. Like, I want a hoagie. I want a proper sub. And like, they're just not there. Like, and it's a little better where I am now in California. And like, of course, you can get anything in LA and San Francisco, but like, Seattle was rough. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, one thing you and I always joke about is how we kind of go off on tangents. It was just like,
there's like so much of this is getting cut out.
Like
we're talking about fucking
common sense conversation about why Seattle doesn't have good grinders. You should keep it all in. You should keep it all in.
Grinders going strong. Grinder's real popular in Seattle. There's lots of that. They got
a lot of meat on that grinder. Wink. Grindr is an app where men can meet for sex. There, I just explained the joke.
Wow. Yeah. I know so many trans women on Grindr.
Fair.
Like, I know so many. I don't use Grindr, but like, I know a lot of people that do. Anyway, yeah. super interesting.
That'd probably get cut. That part would probably get cut. About
Some of it, I think it's really
about
funny.
a big meaty grinder.
No, that's not getting cut. That's the part I'm going to keep in.
Yes, I should edit.
That's the title of the episode.
I should edit that it's a place for men to meet up sex or people who want to just meet men for sex.
I'm cutting that out. I don't care. Everyone knows what Grindr is. If you don't know what Grindr is, yeah, go explore.
Go explore. Download it.
Find out for yourself. Yeah.
Oh, you guys! I hope once we cut away the tangents, that was helpful. Just like I think my main thing, like what to know before you transition or things learned, just like be open to like grow and learn and have fun and enjoy your trip and be the best you can be.
Yeah. Remember, there's no wrong way to do it. You get to make your own parameters, and so whatever works for you is the right way.
Yeah. All right. Peace out. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.